When I'm watching these games, I'm watching to see, can they show me anything towards being an NFL offense? Like, that's it. I'm not counting wins and losses. I said that on a pregame show probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Because to me, and since they're in evaluation mode, I get that. You don't want to win games, whatever, draft pick, rebuild, all that stuff, smart NFL teams do. I get all that. But is this an environment where even next year, if you bring in a Fernando Mendoza or you bring in a Ty Simpson, is this an offensive environment where a young quarterback can thrive? Where even a Mac Jones, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later in the program, where even a quarterback like that can thrive or survive? And really, my answer is no. Like Kevin Stefanski over the last 2 seasons has given me little reason to believe that this is an ecosystem healthy to quarterbacks. Period.
Well, that's what's been so hard about watching the offense is like, it's bad. It's the worst in the NFL. Dillon Gabriel is... I mean, you look at to see your young players, how are they progressing? How is Quinshawn getting better? How are these young receivers getting better? Now Isaiah Bond's like a weekly inactive. That's how well that's going. Dylan Sampson,
I think he's going to be back tomorrow. Okay. Isaiah Bond's going to be back tomorrow, and you've got people on the social media streets that are coming after me. I said on my TV show in hyperbole that Isaiah Bond is the definition of an Andrew Berry receiver because he was projected to be really high. The disgusting allegations against him that he was cleared of caused him to go undrafted. You gave him an unprecedented, fully guaranteed contract, even though he was an undrafted free agent, and that was just about $3 million. And he has 11 career catches. Yeah. And I said in hyperbole, that's the textbook definition of an Andrew Berry receiver, and he's the worst I've ever seen after the football bonked off of his head. And you had people in my mentions absolutely outraged that I said that. And I was like, no, my point still stands. He's not an NFL wide receiver. And that's where I'm at with Dillon Gabriel. Like, I hate disparaging Dillon Gabriel because he's a third-round pick. What does anybody expect? The guy shouldn't have been a top 100 draft pick. We said that at the time. Like, we were saying that in April. So it's gone about how we all expected it to. But I think the unfortunate part for Dillon Gabriel and the unfortunate part for Browns fans that are forced to watch Dillon Gabriel play football is that this guy doesn't belong. Dillon Gabriel belongs in the UFL. He belongs in the St. Louis Battlehawks. Like that, at least then his physical limitations wouldn't be so drastic where he just has no chance of doing anything in the National Football League.
So usually with a rebuilding team, you look at your rookies, you look at some... Where is the progress? Where were we really bad week 1 that we are improving on week 4, week 8, week 12, and even against good competition? Are we competing in games? What's been so difficult about this is what the defense is. So you can almost check out when the defense is on the field because the dudes, that everything is going almost perfectly well on defense. And then on offense, you look at an offensive line that's old and that's bad with 2 tackles off the scrap heap. You look at wide receivers that are not good. The best wide receiver this year outside of Jerry Jeudy, and he hasn't exactly been that good, has been Malachi Corley. So in gadget systems, Cedric Tillman hasn't done anything for you.
The jet sweep might be the only play on the play sheet that works consistently.
So I think that's been adding to a lot of my frustration for me is there's 2 things that Browns fans know how to do really well. It's tailgate and it's get through a rebuild. But when you watch a rebuild, you're supposed to see progress. You're supposed to, but, the offensive line's young, so that's why they can't run the ball. Or, this tackle's a developmental guy, so that's why, Dillon Gabriel has to roll out of the pocket sometime. No, you have 5 offensive linemen that aren't signed through December. You don't have, it's not like Zach Zinter is coming up and we're all banking on Luke Whippler to be like the answer at offensive line. So they're so far away and they're so bad as an offense in so many different spots that I can't even properly evaluate and have fun evaluating them because it's the same thing every single time. Dillon Gabriel is not a good enough quarterback. He doesn't have the athleticism to navigate a collapsing pocket. But then every time he gets rolled out, people blame Gabriel. And I'm like, the 2 tackles are acting like turnstiles out there. So I don't even know where to start for how bad the offense is.
It's all bad. We are trying to figure out, why is Dillon Gabriel starting games still for the Cleveland Browns? I park the Shedeur thing for just a moment. And I know it's hard to do that when you're having this conversation, but Dillon Gabriel, to me, they're effectively ruining his chances of ever becoming that 10-year backup that they said that he was going to be. Remember back to the draft and the supercomputer and the preseason and all this stuff. Nobody really thought that Dillon Gabriel could be a long-term solution or a franchise quarterback, but effectively what they're doing is trying to tell us that, that he's a smart kid, he speaks their language, he's a guy that could be around the organization for years to come. By playing him and by him playing this poorly, they're effectively ruining his chances at even being that, right?
Yeah, so what I was basically told a couple of weeks ago was that they drafted him with the intention to be Case Keenum. Just throw him in there, start a couple of games,
he's nowhere close.
But that's the thing, is that, and look, maybe Case Keenum was this bad in his rookie year. I don't know. I don't have his stats, his first couple of seasons off the top of my head. Maybe it was this bad. But I do agree with you that he is playing himself out of future NFL jobs. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not in the league right now. Plenty of Browns mid-round quarterbacks that they've drafted to be a long-term backup solution that they've had to end up playing are out of the league right now. So, just because Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski drafted him to be this long-term backup or this Case Keenum doesn't mean that he's going to be. And he's not playing like anybody. I mean, I get Lance Reisland's scouting reports after every week, and every single time it's Dillon is not adjusting to unique blitz packages. He's not adjusting to when defense is audible on the fly to him. He's not adjusting when the play breaks down. These are the basic things that you progress as you learn NFL defenses.
Right, and even backup quarterbacks do those things.
But the sticking point is that he's just not.
Right.
Where do you see Dillon progressing from the first start that he's had till now?
None. And seriously, and I feel bad disparaging the kid because he should not be in this spot. I don't believe that he should have been a 3rd-round pick. He should have been a top 100 pick. He should have been in the 6th round. And a guy that was such a far along project that we probably never would have even seen light of day on an NFL field, but they forced us to do this because they genuinely really like him. They genuinely believe that he's really good, and that's why we should all be scared poopless that they could potentially be the ones drafting the quarterback of the future this coming April. Nobody should trust their quarterback evaluation process because, to your point, the last guy that they were really excited about was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's currently out of football.
So you pose a question. I'll throw it back at you. Why do you think Dillon Gabriel is starting today? Why do you think Kevin Stefanski, after every single game, is blanket, which you don't need to do? He does not need to throw it. He can very easily say, look, we're not doing well. We'll evaluate everything.
Well, I think a piece of the reason why Stefanski just immediately commits to him after the game is he knows that if he doesn't, Monday morning will just be Shedeur mania. And everybody will just assume that means Shedeur Sanders is starting. And even if Shedeur Sanders isn't starting, even if Kevin double backs and he's like, hey, we looked at everything, we weighed our options, it's going to be Dillon Gabriel again, the outrage would be probably double what it is Sunday afternoons when he just immediately commits to Dillon Gabriel. But I think he genuinely believes, and I could be dead wrong about this, but we won't know because Kevin and Andrew won't give anything to the media or to the fans. I genuinely think Kevin Stefanski believes that Dillon Gabriel can be that Case Keenum, that he can be a guy that plays smart, turnover-free football and that can keep the car on the road and just game manage for the Browns. And they probably tried to sell themselves on some sort of pipe dream that Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders can be all right enough to bridge the Browns even through 2026 to completely rid them of this Deshaun Watson nightmare. The thing is, like what they did when they traded for Deshaun Watson, they miscalculated where they were at. They led themselves to believe that the receiver room was better than what it was. They led themselves to believe that the offensive line situation is better than what it actually actually is, and they grossly miscalculated the state of this roster. And no, Dillon Gabriel is closer to an 0-16 quarterback than he is a guy that can win a couple games and keep everybody their jobs.
So, number one, if Kevin Stefanski is worried about what Ken and Anthony are saying in the morning, what Baskin and Phelps are saying midday, and what Afternoon Drive and Jake are saying in the afternoons and evenings, that's not good. Like, you are beholden to the guys in Berea, the guys in the locker room, and that end of story. I understand the sentiment behind, like, why, hey, man, I just don't want to deal with these questions on Monday and Tuesday all the way through the week from the media of, hey, when are you going to name a starting quarterback for sure? If that's what the thing is, then we have bigger issues than Kevin Stefanski not being a good head coach. He's just not focused. The other thing with that is they've either bought themselves in. Like, to me, Dillon Gabriel's still starting because they've either bought themselves into this, what looks like a pipe dream fallacy that he can work out and be that bridge quarterback, or Shedeur Sanders is just not that good. And maybe it's just so far along that, like, Shedeur has so much further to go that it's just a non-starter.
Yeah, but why should we trust the Browns on that? Because Dillon Gabriel isn't ready to go. Dillon Gabriel has shown me literally zero flashes and zero reason to believe that he was ever ready to go. So with the Shedeur not ready thing, was Dorian Thompson-Robinson ready to go 30 minutes before they named him the starting quarterback against the Ravens because Deshaun Watson couldn't go in that game? Like, that has never mattered. So the entire Shedeur conspiracy and all of those people, maybe one day they have their day, because I think they could really have a point. 216-474-0092. Let's try to solve this together. Why is Dillon Gabriel continuing to start games for the Cleveland Browns? It certainly does feel like every quarterback that goes on the field, like, de-evolves. Like, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was always a really raw, like, nobody thought that DTR coming into the National Football League was going to be like this ready-made NFL guy. Like, that's why he was a fifth-round pick. He was always a little bit of a project that had a lot of raw athletic ability and a little bit of arm talent, but outside of that was widely viewed as a project, which lands you to be a fifth-round quarterback. And I think we saw some of that early in his tenure, especially like the Hall of Fame game and the preseason. Like, he was certainly a guy that could create some things with his legs, and then the arm was there as well. But it felt like with every single start, he progressively, like, got worse. And like, you could have probably just taken him straight off the field at UCLA and put him on the Browns, and he would have been a better quarterback had Kevin Stefanski not had his paws on him. And then the Flacco thing is just irrefutable evidence at this point that every Sunday he seemingly goes out there and throws for 300 to 400 yards with the Bengals, where he was just a statue here in Stefanski's offense.
Yeah, so I sort of take all that as, at least this year, I will just, like, leave this year on its own with Dillon Gabriel. And the London game is an interesting point by Randy, because I think a lot of people do, like, take that away because it's convenient for our argument that Dillon Gabriel's not good. Like, yeah, he wasn't an all-pro quarterback in that Vikings game, but he was competent. He ran the offense, and barring a last-second defensive meltdown, like, yeah, they would have won that game.
Right. He looked like a backup in that game.
Kevin Stefanski probably isn't this quarterback whisperer that we all think that he could have been, or that Kevin Stefanski falls asleep at night thinking that he is. Like, again, I think JP said this. Kevin Stefanski falls asleep at night thinking that he's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
He's not. That just means to me that the coaching staff is not doing a good enough job adjusting, putting him in good situations. Like, if your first start is good, if you're a rookie quarterback and your first year in the NFL is good, and then you have a sophomore slump, it's because one of two things. Either you do not adjust, you do not grow as a player, or your coaching staff around you doesn't put you in the right positions to adjust when people throw new things at you.
Well, dude, and to that point, like, didn't Kevin Stefanski kind of admit that? Like, in 2 consecutive seasons, he's handed off play calling duties. Like, isn't that kind of effectively admitting, like, yo, I'm not getting the most out of my quarterbacks. I'm not getting the most out of my own offense. Like, that's another piece of this entire season as we're sitting here just ripping our hair out, talking about the Browns. Like, Like last year when Kevin Stefanski handed the play calling duties off, that was Ken Dorsey's offense, the hybrid mashup that they tried to put together to get the most out of Deshaun Watson. So when he handed off last year, at least Dorsey had influence on that offense. This year, it's a whole different story. Everybody said this offseason that they were going to get back to 2023. They were going to get back to Stefanski ball. Joel Bitonio told me to my face on camera that was the reason why he decided not to go into retirement. And that was the reason why he wanted to come back, because they were going to get back to Flacco ball. They were going to run the football. They were going to do play action, everything that they had success with in 2023. So the fact that we didn't see that, and then Stefanski just kind of panicked probably and handed the play call sheet off to Tommy Rees, it's kind of telling of where they're at, because it kind of lets me believe that they don't even believe that they could get the most out of these QBs anymore.
Yeah, the issue with that whole premise of getting back to 2023 is you don't have the horses that you did in 23. The offensive line is so much worse. You have a rookie running back. You have a rookie quarterback. And again, you have wide receivers that have no business being in the NFL. Mark Cooper's not here. Jarvis Landry's not here. David Njoku is years older and a couple of injuries later and probably a couple pounds heavier and on his way out of Cleveland, it looks like. So the entire premise of, we're just going to go back because my system worked and the system worked, it goes back to the idea that I have that I don't think Kevin Stefanski is that good at adjusting as a head coach, which is fine as an offensive play caller when you have the right system that you can put in. But when you're a head coach of a team, you need to be able to adjust to the flow of the league and the flow of the game. And he has proven over the last couple of years, and the offense, and going back to 2 years ago, is a perfect example that he's just not good at adjusting.